Is Ron DeSantis planning to run in the Republican presidential primary in 2024 if Donald Trump is running? And a new report indicates that the answer is probably not. So Gabriel Sherman, he's the hot goss ambassador, okay, over at Vanity Fair, reported on this. And apparently DeSantis has been telling his donors that he does not plan to challenge Trump in the Republican primaries. Sources tell me DeSantis recently indicated to donors that he would not challenge Trump for the Republican nomination. He's led them to believe he will not run if Trump does, a Republican briefed on the donor conversations told me. Another source told me DeSantis's calculation is that at age 44, he's only 44, I didn't know that. He can easily-
His face is aged prematurely.
He doesn't look 44, he definitely looks older than that. He can easily wait until the next presidential cycle. So why risk a brutal primary fight against someone like Trump? He can walk into the presidency in 2028 without upsetting Trump or Florida, the source said. Because God forbid you upset Daddy Trump. You don't want to get a spanking, do you?
Yeah, you're not like a grown man who makes your own decisions.
Yeah.
You do whatever he'll allow.
It's the feminist's
Obviously.
fault. It's the feminist's fault. What happened to male masculinity? I think the feminists
They ruined
destroyed
Ron
it.
DeSantis. They feminized him,
Yeah, it's the feminists who have been in Ron DeSantis's ear, convincing him to act like a little bitch, like all the other Republican male politicians when it comes to Donald Trump.
His motto is "the cuck stops here," I think. That's not gonna get you to the White House, buddy. Anyway, so I don't buy it.
Oh, interesting.
I'm not saying that he's not. I'm not saying that he's definitely going to run, and I think there's very good reasons why he shouldn't run. I could make a long list, maybe I will. The number one reason though is that Trump would demolish him, just rhetorically. Like we just easily made fun of Ron DeSantis. He is so make funnable. Can you imagine what Donald Trump is gonna do? Like he doesn't even know anything about Evan McMullin and he came up with McMuffin. Can you imagine what he's been spending like the last 6 months thinking of about Ron DeSantis?
Well, I've actually noticed that
he's gonna show that picture of him in the white boots, done.
Because Ron DeSantis hasn't publicly said that he does not plan on running. I've noticed that Trump has increased or ratcheted up his attacks against DeSantis.
And his upcoming VP attacking Ron DeSantis as well.
So, interesting, I actually had not seen that.
Oh, Marjorie Greene criticized Ron DeSantis for doing the migrant flights. Says that he's doing what the Democrats want.
What?
She criticized a Republican, a MAGA Republican. Not like Mitch McConnell or something. She criticized Ron DeSantis.
That's interesting, I had not seen that. I don't think Trump is gonna run with Marjorie. I don't know. Whatever. We live in America.
Well, you clearly didn't watch my top 10 list on TDR this week. But anyway,
whenever you're in doubt, just assume the worst.
What's the worst? Marjorie Greene is VP. That's why I'm assuming
that's why. Yeah, no, I'm just saying it'll probably happen.
So here's the thing. I think if he says it would just be safer to wait 4 years, I think he's probably right. I think it would be safer. I think he'll still be relatively young as presidents go. Donald Trump, I mean, I'm looking at his frame. It don't look like it's gonna last another 6 or 7 years, but maybe. But anyway, he'll be super old.
Only the good die young.
Unless he's entering into his 3rd or 4th term and democracy doesn't matter or whatever, then that is a safe bet. I'm not saying that Ron DeSantis is definitely gonna run. I'm saying that them putting out this statement that, he's talking to donors, that doesn't mean anything. What I would do if I was Ron DeSantis and if I was a very shallow exterior of pretending to be an alpha, but inside I was the scaredest little boy in America, then I wouldn't want Donald Trump spending the next 5 months attacking me before I launch my bid. I would put out something like this, reassure Trump, I'm not actually gonna attack. And then I'd be plotting in the background, waiting to eventually run. This is like a defense, I think. No one's going on the record. No donors are going on the record.
Sources.
No aides.
Sources.
It's weak trial balloon stuff. Doesn't mean anything.
I am hoping that Ron DeSantis does run in 2024.
Oh, me too.
It would be entertaining.
Right there with you.
And I think I would enjoy, look, I'm not gonna lie. enjoy the Republican primary debates more than the Democratic primary debates. And I have no doubt that Ron DeSantis's participation would make it far more entertaining. And I am curious to see how he would hold up on a debate stage where someone like Donald Trump, who resorts to juvenile insults, would be like hitting him in the face, rhetorically, politically.
I think he might actually cry.
God, I want
to. Well, the sun will get in his eyes or something. I think there's a chance that because it's not gonna be like in 2016 where there was 12 people on the stage and Trump would hit this one and they'd make fun of that one's hair and he'd call that one fat. If it's him and Ron DeSantis, he is gonna hit Ron DeSantis over and over and over, and I think he really might cry.
God, I want it to happen so badly.
Me too. Me too.
I might vote for Trump. I'm just kidding. I would never vote for Trump. Anyway.
Yeah,
so we'll see what happens. I think your prediction is a good one.
I try.
I don't know where I fall yet. I do think that Ron DeSantis, much like other Republican politicians, is terrified of Trump and doesn't want to be attacked by him. And he is young enough to want to keep his powder dry, as they say, and just wait to run at a time when he wouldn't have to be confronted with a big orange baby.
And bear in mind, there's also like just waiting like 4 or 5 months before he'd announce anyway. There's no reason letting people know he's gonna run before he actually decides to run. Think about what can happen in that time. Trump could theoretically get back on Twitter and remind everyone that he's an absolute psychopath, and that might spook some of the donors to want an alternative. Also, maybe the DOJ will file charges against him, which could help him or could hurt him. I think there's a couple of things that could happen in the next 6 months that in theory could aid Ron DeSantis, so long as Trump doesn't spend all of that time like absolutely destroying him and making a mockery of him.
We'll see how it plays out. For now though, LJ Wombology in our super chats has an important comment about John. John is my new favorite. We got to go to a one shot of John as I read this comment.
Why would you do that?
Because we have to. John is my new favorite greaser. Just saying, someone get this man a moto jacket.
I'm glad you're happy with this. First of all, I have multiple moto jackets already.
It's the first time I have felt genuine joy today. So thank you to LJ Wombology for making me laugh. I really appreciate it.
Well, I'm glad that happened, and I'm glad that you reading it and laughing at it won't inspire anyone else to do the same.
What's going on though? Like, are you just trying to switch it up with the hair, or you just don't want to get a haircut?
Well, I'm growing it a little bit, and in the meantime, I got to figure out what to do, because if I just don't do anything, it's madness.
You're growing it out for what? A man bun?
To have hair. I don't know. I've never had hair. I don't even know what you do with hair. That's why every day I do something different. I've been buzzing my head for years and years and years. And so this time I just pushed it back. I don't know.
You know what? Do you, boo?
I don't know.
I'm into it.
I don't really hate it. I think it's okay.
I don't hate it either.
Okay.
Yeah.
But don't mess with the greasers.
But you should definitely get a moto jacket. I feel like
I have motorcycle jackets because I owned motorcycles.
Then wear your moto jacket. What's wrong with you?
I might. It's difficult though, because look, I've always really wanted to, but it doesn't really fit our style. And then on Friday,
you're wearing a t-shirt on the main show right now.
Because it's Wednesday and you're wearing the turtleneck. But I wouldn't be wearing this if Cenk was wearing his jacket. Anyway, last Friday, Jessica Burbank wore a leather jacket on the show. So now if I do it, people will be like, you're just copying Jessica Burbank.
I don't think anyone's gonna care, John.
They will.
Okay. All right, we gotta take a break.
She'll make fun of me on TikTok.
Jonah Morton writes in and says, the pivot to Asia that never happened, we haven't left Europe or Africa, some pivot. Well, you're right about not leaving Europe or Africa, and I don't think we ever will. But there definitely has been at least some attention toward Asia that kind of started under the Obama administration. And that pivot is very much real, especially when you consider the weaponry we've been sending to countries near that, or in that region. Countries like Japan, India. There's definitely a lot going on that I'm concerned about. All right, Harund writes in and says, and then you have to look at the CHIP Act. Taylor Ellis is a freaking genius, okay? He's one of our producers, he's amazing because he's literally said this morning. And then you have to look at the CHIP Act and what US is destroying it. So the CHIP Act is correct, right? There's a reason why we are trying to manufacture chips here in the United States. It's because we've been so reliant on China. And there's this effort to kind of like decouple the United States and China in terms of like the economic relationship we have to some extent. And I think the CHIP Act is just the first part of that. There's also a secondary story to that where the US will not allow exports of these chips to China. So that means something. I mean, obviously that's part of that whole effort is part of this ongoing ramped up tension that the US is pushing for with China. Progressive Canuck, AKA Maple Syrup Dragon, says the government of Ontario, Canada is trying to legislate that unionized workers in the education system, not teachers, cannot strike during negotiations and is an act of the government that goes against Canada's Charter of Rights. Hashtag I stand with Coop. We'll look into that story, but that's super discouraging news. Sticky Dank Brandon writes in and says, progressives get into Congress and lose their backbone. It's sad to see, but not surprising. More progressives with a spine, please. Okay, no one in Congress is gonna give a crap about what we think or what we want unless we're organized and know how to apply pressure effectively outside of like an outside pressure campaign. That is the only thing that's gonna work. Okay, there's never gonna be one savior in Congress. If anyone tells you that, they're lying to you. The idea that like, if we could just elect this one person, it's gonna change everything. That is a lie. And it is incredibly naive to think that. I'm not venting toward the person who wrote that comment. I'm mostly venting toward other people that, shadow boxing a little bit here. Edwin. But like, no, it's mostly Cenk. It's never gonna be one person. We need to organize, we need to apply pressure from the outside. That's the only thing that works. Incentives, disincentives, that's all they respond to. Let's get back to the show.